Baby, be in love with your fantasies. I can be a star, make a side so bright. Welcome to my dungeon, this is ecstasy. Let me play the fantasy.
What's good, YouTube? It's your girl, Asia.
And it's your boy, BJ. And we back like we never left. We appreciate y'all for pulling back up and supporting the channel.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be reacting to Candace Owens and Kanye West. Looks like they're together and they're both wearing White Lives Matter t-shirts.
Oh.
And actually, Candace Owens actually posted it on her page, just kind of explaining exactly what's going on in regards to why they broke the internet.
Oh, they broke the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Break the internet. Did they really break the internet?
We're about to find out why they broke the internet.
I'm reading the title. Wait,
Mm-hmm.
Did they really break the internet?
I don't know.
Did they, y'all?
They're saying they broke the internet, and I have an idea why. I mean, that they have White Lives t-shirts on, so we're about to check this one out.
I actually saw a picture of them standing on Instagram, but I didn't get into any of it or anything like that.
As far as exactly why.
Yeah, a couple celebrities had it posted on their Instagram yesterday.
Yeah,
so
I just started seeing some outrage in regards to it. I just want her to kind of explain exactly why they had them on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're about to see. I'm sure she has some type of clarity to their question, the big burning question.
We know Candace now. Yeah, so. We know Candace.
Yeah, I mean, I'll refrain to say what I think before watching the video or after watching the video. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell. Let's jump into this video. Here we go.
It's true. The internet is broken. You cannot use the internet today. It's not working anywhere in the world because I wore a t-shirt alongside Kanye West, which read White Lives Matter. And God forbid you wear a t-shirt that says White Lives Matter. We wore this for his Yeezy Season 9 fashion show here in Paris. And people are upset. They're very upset about that. They're going, why on earth? How could you? How dare you wear this shirt? How dare you make a mockery of the BLM movement? In addition to this, in case you missed it on Kanye West's Instagram page, he wrote this: everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam. Now it's over. You're welcome. That is the only response or the only thing that he has said publicly about wearing the t-shirt. And you obviously know, if you're watching this, where I stand on the Black Lives Matter movement. In fact, I'm doing an entire documentary to expose the fraudulent nature of that movement and the organization that stood behind it and benefited billions and billions of dollars because they elicited Black grief. They sold Black people a concept of their oppression. They used poorer Black Americans as a marketing firm for their organization. And where did that money go? Well, certainly not to Black America. So I had this wonderful thing this morning, this wonderful experience, and I'll tell you why it was wonderful. I had breakfast with Ye at his hotel, and it was wonderful because it was one of those moments where I realized how far I've come from where I was. The first time that I ever came to Paris, ironically, I was having breakfast with a woman whose family I worked for, and she was so awful to me. And I'll never forget this moment because it almost ruined Paris for me. It was a wealthy woman who told me, as we sat in her hotel, which was the George Cinq Hotel, she said, Candace, a girl like you shouldn't even be here. Look how expensive the omelet is that you're eating. Do you see how expensive it is? An omelet is $35. A girl like you can't afford this hotel, or you can't afford to stay here. And I remember I was so upset that when I left that breakfast, I was crying because I was so angry that anybody had spoken to me like that. And fast forward, I guess, more than 10 years now, and I am sitting at a hotel with having an omelet, by the way, with Ye West, and we are discussing the internet, which we just broke over this t-shirt. And I just started jotting down some things that he was saying because he was actually giving an interview to another magazine. And he said, I perform for an audience of one, and that's God. I loved that statement, so I wrote it down. He also said, quote, utopia is possible for not who we are being led by. I'm going to say that again. Utopia is possible for not who we are being led by, which of course leads me to think about Black Lives Matter again, and these people who claim to be leaders and knew that what they were doing was further dividing the masses. I mean, the whole idea here via the Black Lives Matter movement was to make sure that Black people saw oppression and saw white supremacy surrounding them, and convincing them that if they leaned into this narrative, that somehow their lives would be better. It was a mirage. Actually, that's a word that Ye used during the breakfast too. It was basically a mirage, right? This idea that somehow all we needed to do was burn down our own neighborhoods. All we needed to do was have our youth wearing a George Floyd t-shirt. All we needed to do was loot Targets and loot these expensive stores, and somehow justice would be delivered. And of course it wasn't. There is a deep irony and a sad irony when you consider that wearing a t-shirt has led such a tremor throughout the world, right? A t-shirt that says White Lives Matter, which should be implied, right? White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, it should be implied. Yet people are angry and they are being vicious online because they can't believe that we have the audacity to detract from the movement, which is a lie, right? Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter, then some of these things that we have been talking about on this show, things I've been talking about throughout my entire political career, would be getting attention. Not.
Oh.
Now, I'm kind of saying exactly kind of where she's going with this.
I was going to say.
Especially with the t-shirt. Especially with the t-shirt.
Granted, they said white lives matter, but what if you have somebody walking around with Asian lives matter, Hispanic lives matter? Like, so what? Does that make it less meaningful because it doesn't say Black Lives Matter, or what?
No, but she just said it though in regards to White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You know, it has to imply. But you know, my thing is again, I just see like the shock value in it. Because early on with it, you know, when people started wearing the Black Lives Matter, you saw this upheaval, you saw this uprising, and people were like, hey, Black lives, they're the only ones that matter. You're the only ones that matter. Like, you know, so now it's kind of like the shoe is on the other foot now. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So where you had so many people now they're wearing White Lives Matter, and now you have like the same people that were, you know, implying only Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Now you have them like, you know, got their panties in a bunch. You know?
Okay.
And for me, it's just like people stop being so sensitive. Just like she said, it's a t-shirt.
It is a t-shirt.
It's a t-shirt with saying White Lives Matter. Again, like I said, I just feel like, again, with her, it's just like a reverse psychology to me.
Yeah.
Because
I guess
because again, we already know how Candace feels about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
So again, like I said, I just feel like it's just like a reverse psychology type of thing. Okay, you wanted to take Black Lives Matter, and now we figured out what Black Lives Matter was about. Okay, now we finna go ahead and we finna flip that.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I just feel like people being sensitive. If just somebody wearing a shirt saying White Lives Matter, if that offends you, then like I said, God bless your soul.
Right.
The t-shirt, right? Not the t-shirt, but these actual statistics that matter. And here are just a few of them. 117,626 Black children were killed by surgical abortion in the United States in 2018, right? Those are recent statistics. Just so we are clear, abortion in America has contributed to the greatest decline in Black population since the first Black slaves arrived. You will hear people often talk about lynching. This is like a new thing. They like neoliberalism. They could talk about lynching and they compare everything to lynchings. It's just like being lynched. Well, for your reference, you should know that 4,467 people in the United States were victims of lynchings from 1883 to 1941. 3,265 of those people were Black. And you keep talking about lynching as this horrific thing that's happened in the past, right? And yet when you say to people today that 20 million Black infants were aborted, they don't even blink an eye. They don't even bat an eyelash. No, less than batting an eyelash. they tell those same Black people that they need to be outraged when a Planned Parenthood clinic shuts down. 20 million. When you talk about people that are killed in the millions, when you talk about the Jewish Holocaust, when you talk about the Rwandan Holocaust, people are, oh my gosh, oh my, this is horrible. Of course, because it is horrible. But for whatever reason, since we have convinced ourselves to genocide our own offspring, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They don't bat an eyelash. In fact, they tell you that it is your right. So think about that. 20 million Black babies, and yet a t-shirt is what got attention last night. In 2012, more Black babies were killed by abortion in New York City than were born. Imagine that, your abortion rate being higher than your live birth rate in a city. And they celebrate it. Do you remember notoriously, the governor lit up the city pink when they talked about expanding abortion rights, expanding the Black genocide, light up the skyscrapers pink. It is a...
That's why I be trying to figure out, like, sometimes when people be talking about Kanye and how he says, like, so many, like, off the wall things where they feel like he's, like, crazy or he don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
But, like, if you go back to even, like, Kanye's, and I kind of see why Kanye and Candace might have had, like, a nice conversation and sit down, because I feel like they kind of align as far as like certain types of views. But Kanye had an interview too as well one time where he's like sitting down and explaining things about Planned Parenthood where nobody even speaks about how many Black babies are being aborted.
Right.
But people focus on so many like crazy things that Kanye has said where they're like, oh, he said this or he said that, but they don't really like pay attention and sit down and like listen to some of the things that he says. Because if you really like listen to some of the things that I know Kanye says, there's always like some sense in some of the stuff that he speaks about, especially like when he's speaking about Planned Parenthood. And I'm liking that Candace is speaking on that right now, because I feel like a lot of light needs to be shed on that part, because that's very, very important what she's saying right now.
Yeah, I knew it was a lot, but I didn't think it was that many. That's a lot of babies. If
Black Lives Matter, Black lives need to matter regarding these abortions that's happening in the inner cities, because that's crazy in regards to the rate of abortions based on how many children are being born in that particular county, state, city, or whatnot.
I agree. That's crazy.
A win for who, though, is the question. A win for who? 79% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are located within walking distance of neighborhoods that have a higher proportion of Latina and Black women. But that's not the only thing that's killing Black America, literally. We also know obesity is killing Black America. I wish, you know what we should have done? We should have put a White Lives Matter t-shirt on Lizzo. Maybe we could have gotten a lot of attention about obesity and how it's actually killing Black Americans. Obesity is the #1 killer in America, okay? I know Black Lives Matter told you it was police shootings, right? It made you think that thousands of Black men were dying at the hands of police. No, absolutely not. I think in the year 2020, was it 9 unarmed Black men were killed by police? 9 of them. But obesity is killing people at a very high rate, and Black women have the highest rates of obesity. So the #1 killer, and of course, we sit at the top of it. Black women, 56.9% of us are classified as obese. We shouldn't talk about that. You know why? Because it didn't have a t-shirt on it that said White Lives Matter. You talk about criminality. No one wants to talk about it if you're not talking about a police officer, right? People don't want to talk about the fact that Black people are slaughtering other Black people. People don't want to talk about Black on Black crime. It doesn't matter because we're doing it to ourselves, right? Just like we're aborting our own babies. Applaud it. Applaud it. In fact, put it in the music. Put the criminality in the music and celebrate it. Give it a Grammy. Give Black criminality a Grammy so that we understand that this is ours. Sit in the cool club, right? Now we know what it means to be Black. Now we know what it means to not be a traitor to your own race. Murder your own race. And if you don't do it in your womb, grab a gun. Kill the guy next to you. Applause all around the world.
Wow.
Per the CDC, African Americans are 4 times more likely to be killed by a gun than the overall population. And once again, it's not a white person that is pulling the trigger. It's another Black person. We account for almost 40% of all of the homicide offenders. in the United States. 40% coming from the smallest piece of the population. We're talking about, 7% of the population is Black men, and they're accounting for 40% of all of the homicides in the United States. But let's not talk about that. In fact, let's call that racist to even acknowledge that truth. To talk about the ills in our own community, that's racism. Let's just move on for it. People love to talk about the incarceration rates, right? Because the incarceration rates allow you to understand the result without ever having to talk about the problem, right? You don't have to talk about the equation. I'll just give you the answer. Black men are incarcerated, right? It says here that there are nearly 5 times the rate of Black men in prison than white people. Oh, perfect narrative. It must be racism. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that we're the most murderous group in America. Has nothing to do with that. Of course, 1 + 1 = 2, but let's focus on the 2 and not the 1 + 1. Let's focus on everything except for the fact that we also know that these individuals that are ending up in prison, or these individuals that are ending up killed, or these infants that are being taken out of their mother's own womb, they're all coming from broken families. Families that have been strategically broken down in a culture that further promotes the breakdown of family, that corrodes the value of women, that corrodes the value of men. But hey, that wasn't wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt. So who cares? Who cares? Who cares if 20 million Black babies are dead? Who cares if half of our Black men are locked up? Who cares?
Another big point in regards to that, just what she's speaking about, like with the whole White Lives Matter, it's just like, when you bring up Black Lives Matter, it's like when you make a stance like that, such a bold stance, you got to like really mean it.
I mean, yeah, but it means something. It does mean something because at the end of the day, like in my opinion, I do agree that all lives matter. I don't know why it's so much more significant to Black lives, because of the movement, and it kind of made its way and made this, grand stance in the world, if you will. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, but like to Candace's point, I have to agree with what she's saying. Like,
and my stance too as well. No, we'll just keep on going. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. I'll get to it.
Cares if Black women, half of them are clinically obese and spelling out their own death sentences? Who cares if we represent 40% of all homicide offenders? It doesn't matter because we didn't put it in a Black Lives Matter tee. You know what else doesn't matter? It doesn't matter at all. The education statistics. Don't even pay attention to the fact that 74% of Black boys in California can't pass a basic reading exam. You know why? Because we love ignorance. We should celebrate ignorance, right? Who cares that across 5 schools in an inner city like Baltimore, they couldn't find a single child that was proficient in reading and in writing? Who cares? Who cares that 3 out of 4 Black boys in California schools cannot meet writing standards? Who cares? It's not in a White Lives Matter t-shirt, so we won't talk about the fact that nearly 80% of Black boys in the 4th grade failed to meet state reading standards. None of that stuff, for whatever reason, resonates. No one's ever outraged. It never trends on Twitter. Last night, White Lives Matter was trending on Twitter because Kanye West had the nerve and the gall to put that t-shirt on. White Lives Matter. Now the press, how dare you? How dare you? What a form of engaging in white supremacy. None of this that I just read to you is white supremacy, but the t-shirt is a form of white supremacy. You know what the problem is? The problem is not what's happening inside the households or what's happening on the streets or the slaughtering that's taken place. The problem is not the women that have been trained to kill their own offspring, not to raise their sons, the men that are on the streets killing one another and putting out music that encourages their offspring to do the same. The real problem in Black America is that Kanye and Candace put on a White Lives Matter t-shirt. So let's focus on that instead.
She always has something that's thought-provoking. You know what I mean? Like, definitely has something that's thought-provoking.
Like everything else in the world, has to stop. Like, there's nothing more important but, Kanye and Candace Owens having a White Lives Matter shirt on. And we have all these other issues that aren't being discussed or talked about. Yeah. But they're not putting none of that stuff on a shirt, exactly. Like she said. It's just... And
that's what she wants to bring light to. And that's what she brought light.
Ooh.
That's what she brought light to in this video as well. Like, you know, probably like 10%. 10% of this video was her speaking in regards to White Lives Matter. Majority of it was her giving like these hardcore statistics regarding the black community and the things that ill us, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of harken back in regards to like, you know, for me, I don't have to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt to say for me to understand and to know Black Lives Matter. Like,
right.
I know Black Lives Matter. Like I live it every day.
Right.
So I know Black Lives Matter. But again, you know, I've said this on countless videos. It's like Black lives will only matter to everybody else when it truly matters to us. Like, we got to really like take that into account. Like, it's only going to matter to everybody else if we truly believe that and we actually truly act on it. And like I said, the Black Lives Matter movement, like I said, you've seen so many things in regards to like you said, with us killing each other. You know, us killing each other, and that's not really getting televised. Nobody's saying anything about that. Nobody's protesting against that. When she said that 9 black unarmed men were killed in a year, but
that and the abortion rates and stuff that she was talking about, I think that's just
yeah, the abortion
it's insane. Like in the state of New York, they have more abortions than they did babies at births. Yeah, babies being born. That's like what?
It's going in reverse as far as like the population there in regards to like the black community. If you look at those statistics, it's going backwards. You're losing more lives than lives that's being reproduced.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I feel like they did it for shock value, but for me, the only people that would be offended would be people that are just so sensitive, people that truly felt like Black Lives Matter meant something to them in regards to a T-shirt. Yeah. Because it's just a T-shirt. So now when people see them kind of flipping it and reversing it, doing like the reverse psychology, saying, okay, White Lives Matter. Now you have all these people that got their panties in a bunch and supposedly breaking the internet. But the only people that I'm seeing that's offended are black people in regards to it.
You think?
Majority of the people that I've seen on the internet, people that have spoke out about it and said something about it, they mostly were black. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Curious. Majority of them. But again, like I said, black lives will only matter to us when we truly act on it. And like I said, I don't feel like it matters as much to us because you see things that happen in the community in regards to like people going to prison, black people killing each other. That's the main thing that I see in regards to if Black Lives Matter, we shouldn't be killing each other. And if we care enough about us killing and taking each other's lives, that should have been the forefront of Black Lives Matter, trying to tackle that. Because if you know the true statistics behind what's going on in the communities, and especially like the black communities in regards to the numbers, that would have been their agenda in regards to trying to grab the black community and say, hey, Black Lives Matter, it needs to matter to us. Right. This is what we need to do to change it. And it starts with us. So it doesn't really it doesn't really hold much weight to me until like people actually like really truly act on it. So with them just wearing a T-shirt and it going viral, like that doesn't make me upset. Doesn't make me mad. No, you know,
no, me neither. But I did see when I said I literally thought, ooh, the fact that they did that, like I can't lie. When I saw it, I was just like, oh,
the shock value, especially like because you already know that.
Well, one is I already know what a lot. You know, I've seen and heard a lot of speculation in terms of what people think about Kanye West. But then Candace Owens on top of that, like,
and then Candace just called Kim a prostitute not too long ago. So you know, never know how Kanye and Candace kind of link together.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'm just curious how that plays out. Y'all let us know what y'all think about this down in the comment section.
I didn't think about it.
And what y'all thought. What was y'all's initial thought when y'all saw these pictures posted on the internet? Wherever you saw them at. I saw it on Instagram, but I'm sure it was all over Twitter, everywhere. It was everywhere. Yeah, I saw it probably 4 or 5 times, and then I saw it again this morning another 3 or 4 times. Yeah, that was the first thing I saw.
I don't think I saw it on Twitter. I think the first place I saw it probably like a news outlet that reported saying it.
Well, y'all let us know what y'all think about this. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell, join this family, y'all. If ain't nobody else told you, I love you, and we're going to see y'all in the next video, y'all.
Y'all take it easy. We'll catch y'all real soon.
Bye, y'all.